The Vecrun Empire controlled a large part of space. They had powerful ships and strong weapons. For 3,000 years, no one had beaten them in battle. Their leaders believed they were the strongest race in the galaxy. Commander Thalvin sat in his chair on the bridge of his warship. The ship was called the Eternal Judgment. It was massive and covered in weapons. Today, his crew had found something interesting. A small ship was flying through Vecrun space without permission. "Scan that ship," Thalvin ordered. "I want to know everything about it." The alien ship was human. Humans were new to this part of space. The Vecrun had heard stories about them, but they knew very little. This was a perfect chance to learn what humans could do. The human ship was called the Dauntless. It looked old and simple. The hull was made of basic metal. The engines were small. Captain Daewon sat in the command chair of his ship. He was reading some papers when his officer spoke. "Captain, we have a problem," said Jiwoo. She worked at the computer station. "A big alien ship just appeared. They are scanning us, deep scan. They can see everything about our ship." Daewon looked at his first officer, Taemin. The two men shared a look. They both knew what would happen next. "Let them scan," Daewon said calmly. "Do not stop them. Make sure they see everything clearly." On the Vecrun ship, Commander Thalvin watched the scan results appear on his screen. He started to smile. The human ship was weak, very weak. Its power system was tiny. The hull was made of old materials. The weapons were simple kinetic guns and basic missiles. Nothing special at all. "This is too easy," Thalvin thought. His weapons officer looked at the data and laughed. "Commander, this human ship is no threat to us. Their reactor makes almost no power. Their weapons cannot hurt our shields. They are very slow. They have no energy shields, no plasma weapons, nothing advanced. They are hundreds of years behind our technology." Thalvin felt satisfied. The humans were not dangerous at all. If this ship showed what humans could build, then the Empire had nothing to fear. "Open a communication channel," Thalvin ordered. "Let me speak to their captain." The screen changed. Captain Daewon appeared. He was a middle-aged man with gray hair. His uniform was simple and blue. He looked calm and relaxed. "I am Commander Thalvin of the Vecrun Empire," the alien said. His voice was harsh. "You are in our space without permission. Surrender your ship now or I will destroy you." Daewon leaned back in his chair. He smiled a little. "Commander, we mean no harm. We are just passing through. Our maps did not show that you owned this area." "That is not my problem," Thalvin replied. "We have scanned your ship. It is primitive and weak. You will turn off your engines. You will let us board your ship. We will take your ship and you will become our prisoners." The smile stayed on Daewon's face. "I cannot do that, Commander. But I will give you one chance. Turn your ship around. Leave this area. Forget you saw us." The Vecrun bridge became very quiet. Then all the aliens started laughing. A human in a tiny weak ship was threatening the mighty Vecrun Empire. This was funny. "You are very brave," Thalvin said. His voice showed he thought Daewon was stupid. "We know everything about your ship. You have no weapons that can hurt us. You cannot fight us. I will give you 30 seconds. Surrender or die." Daewon sighed. He looked sad. "Taemin, send the message." His first officer nodded. He pressed one button on his control panel. Commander Thalvin was about to give the order to fire. Suddenly, his communication officer made a loud sound of surprise. "Commander, the human ship just sent a signal. It went out on all military frequencies." "Stop it!" Thalvin shouted. "Too late, sir. The message already left. It is going toward the inner systems." "What did they send?" The officer looked worried. "Our location, sir. The exact coordinates of where we are. And one word." The word was provoked. Thalvin felt cold suddenly. Why would the humans send that message? What did it mean? "Sir, what should we do?" asked his weapons officer. Thalvin thought for a moment. The human ship was still weak. One message would not change that fact. Maybe other human ships would come, but they would be weak too. The scans did not lie. "We wait," Thalvin decided. "Call for support ships. Create a barrier around the human ship. Nothing goes in or out. When our reinforcements arrive, we will deal with whatever the humans send." Over the next hour, 6 more Vecrun warships arrived. They surrounded the Dauntless from all sides. The small human ship could not escape now. On the Dauntless, the crew stayed calm. Jiwoo watched the alien ships on her screen. Taemin checked their star charts. In the kitchen, their engineer Hana made food for everyone. Everything seemed normal. They really think we are helpless, Jiwoo said quietly. Yes, Daewon replied. They scanned us. They saw what they expected to see. They think one scan tells them everything about humanity. Should we tell them the truth? Taemin asked. No, Daewon said. Let them figure it out themselves. They made their choice when they threatened us. Now they will learn what that choice means. 3 days passed. The Dauntless did not move. The Vecrune ships watched it carefully. Commander Thalvin had contacted his superiors. He told them about the human ship and the message it sent. The Empire was preparing something big. On the 3rd day, Jiwoo looked at her screen and saw something new. Captain, I am detecting new ships. Many new ships. They are arriving at the edge of the system. How many? Daewon asked. He put down the book he was reading. I am counting now. Captain, I see 247 ships. They are big. Military ships. They are staying at maximum distance. Taemin whistled softly. They brought an entire fleet. They brought an army, Daewon corrected. He stood up and fixed his uniform. Jiwoo, are we recording everything? Yes, sir. Every scan, every message, every movement. All data is being saved and sent in bursts to our relay network. Good, Daewon said. He opened a channel to Commander Thalvin. Commander, I see your friends arrived. The Vecrune appeared on screen. He looked very pleased with himself. Yes, Captain. That is Battle Fleet 7, 247 warships. Each one is stronger than all human ships combined. If your scans are correct, I believe you, Daewon said. Very impressive. This is not for show, human. This is real power. My superior wants to speak with you. I suggest you show respect. The screen changed. A new Vecrune appeared. This one was bigger and had more decorations on his uniform. Scars covered parts of his body. He looked like a veteran warrior. This was Commander Velcor. I am Commander Velcor. I speak for the Vecrune Empire. You will listen to me. You will obey. Daewon nodded his head slightly. I am listening, Commander. Your people broke our laws. You entered our space. Normally we would destroy you immediately, but the Empire can be merciful. You will tell us where all human colonies are. You will tell us about your military. You will order all human ships to surrender for inspection. And if we agree, Daewon asked, then you will become part of our empire. You will work for us. You will pay us tribute. You will fight in our wars. In return, we will protect you. We will teach your primitive race, I see. And if we refuse, Velcor's eyes shined with confidence. Then we will go to your colony world, Jonha Prime. We will show you what happens when you defy us. We scanned your ship, Captain. We know how weak you are. We know you cannot stop us. We offer you this choice because we respect life. But do not think we are weak. Daewon was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was soft and calm. Commander Velcor, you need to understand something. When you scanned my ship, you saw what we wanted you to see. When you saw primitive technology, you made assumptions. When you saw weakness, you thought you found opportunity. Enough of your empty threats, Velcor snapped. We analyzed your ship completely. There are no hidden weapons, no secret technology. You are inferior. You know it. You scanned a cargo ship, Daewon continued. His voice did not change. You scanned one civilian freighter and you think you understand all of humanity. That was your first mistake. It will not be your last, but it will be your most deadly mistake. You bore me. You have 12 hours to answer our demands. After that, my fleet goes to Jonha Prime. We will give the colonists 12 hours to leave. Then we will destroy their world. Maybe that will teach your people respect. Daewon's calm face changed. Now he looked hard and cold. Commander, you just threatened 4 million colonists, farmers, teachers, children. They did nothing to you. They are human. That is enough reason. Daewon looked at the other Vecrune on the bridge behind Velcor. Are all of you comfortable with this? Killing millions of civilians to prove a point? Some of the aliens looked uncomfortable. But Velcor did not care. We do what is necessary. The weak serve the strong. This is natural law. I see. Daewon's face became like stone. Then let me tell you about natural law that humans learned long ago. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. You scanned our ship and thought we were weak. We let you think that. You threatened our people. That was your choice. What happens next? That is your responsibility. 12 hours, Velcor repeated. Then he ended the call. The emergency council meeting happened on the Sovereign's will. This was the biggest and most important ship in the Vecrun fleet. Grand Admiral Karthus was in charge of the meeting. Many senior commanders attended. Each one had won many battles and conquered many worlds. "Explain to me," Karthus said slowly, "why we called this emergency meeting because of one small human ship." Commander Thalavin stood before all the important leaders. He still felt confident. "Grand Admiral, the human ship sent a distress call before I could stop it. But I think this is actually good for us. This is an opportunity, not a problem." "An opportunity?" One commander named Silvar leaned forward. She was female and very experienced. "The humans are unknown to us. They appeared 20 cycles ago from nowhere. They have been expanding fast. We know very little about their real military power." "That is exactly why we did extensive scans," Thalavin said quickly. He sent the data to everyone's screens. "Look at this information. The human ship is far behind us in technology. Every measurement shows they are weak. If this ship represents what humans can build, they are no threat to the Empire." Grand Admiral Karthus studied the data carefully. The human ship was definitely not impressive. The power was low. The weapons were primitive. The hull was made of simple materials. But something bothered him, a feeling he had learned to trust over many years of command. "What exactly did their message say?" He asked. "One word, Grand Admiral." The word was "provoked." "And how did the human captain act?" Thalavin paused. "Confident, sir." "Too confident for someone in his position." "Perhaps a bluff," suggested another commander named Velkor. "He controlled the third battle fleet. Weak species often try to look strong when they are cornered." Karthus tapped his claws on his chair. He had served for 300 cycles. He had learned that the most dangerous enemies were not always the most powerful. Sometimes the most dangerous enemies were the ones you could not predict. "What do we know about how humans fight?" he asked the council. Silvar accessed the Empire's database. "Very little information, Grand Admiral. They fought several small battles with pirate groups and raiders. Each time the humans won, but we thought this was because the pirates were weak, not because the humans were strong." "Were there any recordings from these battles?" "No, Grand Admiral. The pirates were completely destroyed. No survivors, no data recovered." That caught Karthus's attention. "Completely destroyed? No survivors at all?" "That is correct, sir." The Grand Admiral stood up. He walked around the tactical display that showed the Dauntless. The small human ship looked so weak and helpless, like a small fish next to a shark. And yet something felt wrong. "Tell us what to do, Grand Admiral," Velkor said. "Should we destroy this human ship and prepare for their response? Or should we try to talk peacefully?" Karthus made his decision. It was the decision that everyone expected. It was the decision that Vecrun military rules demanded. It was the decision that 3,000 years of winning every battle made natural. "We will teach the humans their place," he announced. "Commander Thalavin, you will keep the human ship trapped. I will send Battle Fleet 7 to your location. When they arrive, we will give the humans a choice: submit to the Empire's authority or be destroyed. Let them see our strength. Let them understand that we scanned their weak ship and found them wanting." "What if they refuse to submit?" asked Silvar. "Then we will destroy them as a warning to any other species that might question Vecrun power." Karthus pulled up a star map showing human space. "Battle Fleet 7 will go to this human colony world." He pointed to a planet. "It is called Jonha Prime. We will show them the consequences of defying the Empire." The council made sounds of approval. Battle Fleet 7 was huge. It had 43 capital ships, including 3 dreadnoughts. Over 200 smaller ships supported them. This was enough firepower to destroy many planets. "Velkor, you will command this operation," Karthus continued. "Show them our mercy. Give the colonists 12 hours to evacuate before you start the bombardment. Let the humans know that we are civilized conquerors." Commander Velkor bowed. "It will be my honor, Grand Admiral." The council meeting ended. Everyone left to prepare for the deployment. Karthus stayed behind. He kept looking at the image of the Dauntless. The ship looked so fragile and small, and yet Captain Daywan's calm smile bothered him. It stayed in his mind. Later in his private room, Karthus looked at old files. He found the record he was looking for. It was about the conquest of the Mirtok Federation. That happened 200 cycles ago. The Mirtok had been a peaceful species. Their technology was inferior. They seemed weak. The Empire had scanned their defenses and thought victory would be easy. The campaign should have lasted weeks. Instead, it took 20 cycles and cost the Empire 1/3 of its fleet. The Meyertalk, it turned out, had turned their entire civilization into a weapon. Every civilian ship was a potential bomb. Every colony was a fortress. Every citizen was a soldier willing to die. The Empire won eventually. But it was not the easy victory the scans had predicted. Carthus pushed the memory away. The humans were not the Meyertalk. The scans were thorough. The data was clear. Still, he added something to his orders. Battlefleet 7 would advance with full shields up and all weapons ready, just in case. 3 days went by slowly. The Dauntless stayed still in space. More and more Vecrune ships surrounded it. Commander Thalvin had been reinforced by 6 additional cruisers. They formed a blockade that nothing could break through. He had offered Captain Day-Wan several more chances to surrender. Each time, Day-Wan refused politely. On the bridge of the Dauntless, the crew did their normal work. They seemed very calm. Jiwoo watched the Vecrune ships on her screens. She noted where each one was positioned. Taemin looked at star charts, planning routes they might never take. In the kitchen, Hana made meals with the same care she always showed. Captain, Jiwoo said on the 3rd evening, I am detecting hyperspace signatures. Multiple ships. Very large. They are arriving at the edge of the system. Day-Wan put down the book he was reading. It was a real paper book, which was rare. How many? Scanning now. Captain, I count 247 distinct signatures. The mass suggests military vessels. They are holding position at maximum sensor range. Taemin whistled quietly. They brought a fleet. They brought an armada, Day-Wan corrected. He stood up and straightened his uniform. Jiwoo, are we still recording everything? Every sensor sweep. Every communication. Every tactical position. It is all being stored and transmitted in real-time bursts to the relay network. Good. Day-Wan walked to the view screen. He opened a channel to the Eternal Judgment. Commander Thalvin, I see your friends have arrived. The Vecrune commander appeared. He looked very satisfied. Indeed, Captain. That is Battlefleet 7, under Commander Velkor's command. 247 warships. Each one is more powerful than your entire species' combined naval forces, if your scans are to be believed. I do not doubt it, Day-Wan said pleasantly. Very impressive show of force. This is not a show, human. This is a statement. My commander wishes to speak with you directly. I suggest you show appropriate respect. The image changed. A new Vecrune appeared. He was larger and more decorated than Thalvin. Scars covered his body. He looked like someone who had fought many battles. This was Commander Velkor. He radiated authority and power. I am Commander Velkor. I speak with the full authority of the Vecrune Empire. You will listen, and you will obey. Day-Wan tilted his head slightly. I am listening, Commander. Your species committed an act of territorial violation. Normally this means immediate destruction. However, the Empire is merciful. You will transmit the location of all human colonies and military installations. You will provide complete specifications on your naval capabilities. You will order all human vessels to stand down and prepare for Imperial inspection. And if we comply, Day-Wan asked calmly, your species will be absorbed into the Empire as a client race. You will pay tribute. You will provide labor. You will serve as soldiers in our military campaigns. In return, we will protect you and guide your primitive civilization toward enlightenment. I see. And if we refuse? Velkor's eyes gleamed. Then we will proceed to your colony world John Ha Prime. We will demonstrate the consequences of defiance. We have scanned your ship, Captain. We know your capabilities. We know you cannot stop us. We are giving you this choice out of respect for sentient life. But do not mistake mercy for weakness. Day-Wan was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft but firm. Commander Velkor, I need you to understand something. When you scanned my ship, you saw exactly what we wanted you to see. When you saw primitive technology, you made assumptions. When you saw weakness, you saw opportunity. Spare me your threats, Velkor snapped. We have analyzed your vessel down to the molecular level. There are no hidden weapons, no secret technologies. You are inferior and you know it. You scanned a cargo freighter, Day-Wan continued, ignoring Velkor's interruption, and you concluded that you understood humanity. That was your mistake. Commander Velkor was looking at his plans for the attack on Jeon Ha Prime when his sensor officer made a loud sound of alarm. The sound made him turn quickly toward the tactical display. Report, he shouted. Ships, Commander! Hundreds of ships. No, thousands of ships. They are appearing all around us. Our sensors showed nothing before, and now... The tactical display changed completely. Before, it showed a clean picture of Battlefleet 7's formation. Now it was filled with red markers showing enemy ships. They were appearing everywhere. Above the fleet. Below the fleet. Surrounding them in every direction. How is this possible? Velcor demanded. Our sensors are the best in the galaxy. We should have detected them before they came out of hyperspace. Sir, they did not come from hyperspace, the sensor officer reported. His voice was shaking. They were already here. They have been here the whole time. They just became visible. Velcor felt his blood turn cold. Stealth technology that could fool Vecran sensors? That should be impossible, but the evidence was right in front of him. Get me a count and classification, he ordered. His tactical officer, a veteran named Craven, stared at the data on his screen. Sir, I count 3,412 vessels. The classifications are unfamiliar. I am detecting capital ships larger than our dreadnoughts. I am seeing weapon platforms that do not match any known design. Commander, I am reading energy signatures that exceed our theoretical maximum reactor output. That cannot be right. Check your sensors again. I have run diagnostics 3 times, sir. The sensors are working perfectly. These readings are accurate. Velcor pulled up the sensor data on his own screen. What he saw went against everything he understood about human capabilities. These ships looked nothing like the Dauntless. That vessel had been primitive and crude. These new ships were sleek predators. Their hulls were made of materials the Vecran databases could not identify. Their energy signatures suggested power generation that should not exist. And their weapons. Sir, we are being hailed, his communications officer announced. It is from the human fleet. Audio and visual. Put it through. The main view screen changed. It showed a human woman in a crisp military uniform. She appeared to be in her 40s. Her hair was short and dark. Her eyes held no mercy. Behind her, a bridge full of human officers worked at stations that looked nothing like the primitive setup on the Dauntless. I am Admiral Una Kim of the United Earth Navy. I command the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet. You are surrounded by 3,412 warships. Your fleet is outgunned, outmaneuvered, and out of options. Velcor found his voice. You deceived us. The scans of the Dauntless Yakta showed you exactly what Captain Day One wanted you to see. Admiral Kim interrupted. The Dauntless is a cargo freighter. Captain Day One is a civilian. You scanned a civilian vessel and concluded that you understood our military capabilities. That was foolish. But our sensors are obsolete. Kim's expression did not change. Humanity has been fighting wars for 5,000 years. We have had nation fight nation, ideology fight ideology, tribe fight tribe. We have developed weapons that can destroy planets. We have created defenses that can withstand anything except ourselves. And in the last century, when we reached the stars, we took everything we learned from thousands of years of warfare and applied it to a new arena. She leaned forward. Your empire has ruled for 3,000 cycles without serious challenge. You have forgotten what it means to fight an enemy that is desperate, innovative, and absolutely ruthless when pushed. We have not forgotten. We never will. Velcor tried to regain control of the situation. You are bluffing. These ships may look impressive, but you cannot defeat Battlefleet 7. You have 247 ships. Kim interrupted again. We have 3,412. But numbers are not the only advantage we have. Your ships use plasma weapons and energy shields. Technology you have possessed for thousands of years. Powerful, yes, but known, predictable. She touched a control on her chair. Let me show you what you are facing. On Velcor's tactical display, detailed information began appearing. Human ships, human weapons, human technology. Each piece of information was more frightening than the last. Stealth systems that bend light and hide energy signatures. Kim explained. Our ships have been following yours for 3 days and you never detected us. Kinetic weapons accelerated to 0.3% of light speed. Primitive, as you said, but each impact releases energy equal to a nuclear weapon. Missile systems with artificial intelligence that can outthink your countermeasures. And our personal favorite? She paused. Mass drivers. Magnetic accelerators that can launch a piece of metal at near light speed. Cheap. Simple. And absolutely devastating. You see, while you were perfecting energy weapons, we mastered the art of hitting things very, very hard. Velcor felt something he had not experienced in decades. Fear. What do you want? What I want is to go back in time and prevent you from threatening John Ha Prime, Kim said coldly. Since I cannot do that, I will settle for ensuring you never threaten another human world again. We can negotiate. No. Kim's voice was absolute. You do not seem to understand your situation. Let me clarify. You scanned a civilian ship. You concluded we were weak. You threatened to kill 4 million colonists. There will be no negotiation. There will be no surrender. There will be no mercy. You would start a war over this? Velcor asked desperately. You started this war when you threatened our civilians, Kim corrected. We are going to finish it. Velcor looked around his bridge at his crew. These were veteran warriors. They had conquered entire species. Now they looked like prey animals cornered by predators. Commander Velcor, Kim continued, I want you to transmit the following message to your Grand Admiral and your Empire's leadership. Tell them that humanity offers them a choice. Withdraw all forces from human space. Recognize our territorial boundaries. Sign a non-aggression pact or... She did not need to finish the sentence, and if we agree to these terms, Velcor asked, then we will let your fleet leave. You will go home and tell your people that you encountered a species you cannot conquer. You will tell them that the age of easy victories is over. You will tell them that humanity has arrived and we will not be slaves. Velcor did the math in his head. Even if the human weapons were not as effective as they claimed, the numerical advantage was overwhelming. And if the weapons were as effective as the data suggested, Battlefleet 7 would be annihilated. I accept your terms, he said. He hated himself for saying it. I will transmit your message to Grand Admiral Karthus. Excellent. You have 6 hours to exit this system. If any of your ships are still here after that, we will consider it an act of war and respond accordingly. The transmission ended. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Captain Daewon watched the Vecran fleet begin its retreat. Jiwoo was monitoring the larger human fleet. She was still amazed by the sudden appearance of so many warships. Captain, she said quietly, they really believed we were weak, even after all our warnings. They saw what they expected to see, Daewon replied. It is a common failure of powerful empires. They forget that strength takes many forms. Taemin pulled up a communication from Admiral Kim. Sir, the Admiral sends her compliments. She says you played your part perfectly. I just showed them a cargo freighter, Daewon said with a slight smile. They did the rest themselves. Hana brought coffee to the bridge. She had been listening to the conversation. Do you think they will really leave us alone now? For a while, Daewon said. They need time to think about what happened here. They need to report to their leaders. They need to decide if they want to fight a war they cannot win. And if they decide to fight anyway? Jiwoo asked. Daewon looked at the tactical display showing the human fleet. 3,000 ships, all invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. Then they will learn the same lesson, but much more painfully. The Vecran ships were moving now. Slowly at first, then faster. They formed up into travel formation and began to leave the system. Commander Velcor's flagship was among them. The mighty Battlefleet 7, sent to conquer and destroy, was retreating without firing a single shot. On the bridge of the Eternal Judgment, Commander Thalvin watched in disbelief. He had been so sure. The scans had been so clear. The human ship was weak. How could this have happened? Sir, his sensor officer said quietly, I have been analyzing the human ships, the stealth technology they use. It is based on principles we have never encountered. They do not block our sensors. They feed our sensors false information. When we scanned them, we saw nothing because they made us see nothing. But the Dauntless, Thalvin protested. Those scans were real. Yes, sir. Because they wanted us to see that ship. They wanted us to think we understood them. It was bait in a trap, and we walked right into it. Thalvin slumped in his chair. He had been outsmarted by a species he thought was primitive. He had brought doom to his fleet because he believed what his sensors told him. He had learned a hard lesson. Never assume that what you see is all there is to see. The Vecran fleet left the system. Behind them, the human fleet remained. 3,000 ships watching, waiting, ready. Grand Admiral Karthus stood before the Strategic Council in chains. This had never happened before. A Grand Admiral, decorated veteran of 100 campaigns, reduced to a prisoner awaiting judgment. The dishonor was complete. The Emperor himself sat at the head of the council chamber. He was an ancient being who had ruled the Vecran Empire for over 1,000 cycles. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of ages. "You sent Battlefleet 7 to conquer a human colony world," the Emperor said slowly. "You promised us an easy victory. Instead, we nearly lost our entire 7th battle fleet. Now we face the possibility of a war with an enemy whose true capabilities we completely misunderstood." "Explain yourself." Carthus had no defense. The recordings from Battlefleet 7 told the story clearly. The humans had allowed the Empire to scan a civilian vessel. They let the Empire draw conclusions. They waited patiently while the Empire assembled a fleet based on false assumptions. And then they revealed their true strength. "We scanned their ship, Your Majesty," Carthus said hoarsely. "The data was accurate. The Dauntless is exactly what our sensors said it was, a primitive civilian vessel. But you assumed one ship represented their entire civilization," the Emperor said coldly. "You assumed they would reveal their military capabilities to our sensors. You assumed, Grand Admiral, and your assumptions nearly brought disaster upon us." The strategic advisor stepped forward. Her name was Silvar. She had survived the purge of Carthus's command staff. "Your Majesty, we have since obtained more reliable intelligence on human military capabilities. The picture is disturbing." She activated a holographic display. It showed the human fleet that had confronted Battlefleet 7. The humans maintained 3 separate fleets of similar size to what Commander Velcor encountered. Each fleet is equipped with stealth technology that our sensors cannot detect. They have weapons that our shields cannot fully stop. They show tactical coordination that suggests military experience far beyond what we anticipated. They also, she continued grimly, possess weapons they did not deploy at the confrontation. Our intelligence suggests they have strategic weapons capable of destroying planets. They have biological weapons that could kill entire populations. They have nano-weapons that could break down matter at the molecular level. They chose not to use these weapons. They chose to show restraint. The Emperor absorbed this information. Why? Our analysts believe they wanted to send a specific message. The message is, we can destroy you, but we choose not to yet. It is a psychological tactic. They have demonstrated superior force while still leaving room for diplomatic resolution. And what of this civilian captain, this Day-Wan, who made us look like fools? Silvar actually smiled slightly. According to our intelligence, Captain Day-Wan is exactly what he claimed to be. A civilian cargo captain. The humans used an ordinary civilian in an ordinary ship because they knew we would scan him. They knew what conclusions we would draw. The entire encounter was a trap, Your Majesty, and we walked into it willingly. The Emperor turned his attention back to Carthus. You have cost the Empire its reputation for invincibility. Species that feared us now see that we can be outmaneuvered. Enemies that respected us now sense weakness. Your Majesty, Silence. The Emperor's voice cracked like a whip. You are stripped of rank, title, and honor. You will spend the remainder of your days thinking about your failure. Perhaps in time you will understand the lessons this defeat has taught us. Guards moved forward to take Carthus away. As he left the chamber, he heard the Emperor address the remaining council members. We will accept the human terms. We will recognize their territorial boundaries and sign their non-aggression pact. But we will also study them. Learn from them. Prepare. The humans have shown us that we are not as invincible as we believed. That is a valuable lesson, even if the price was high. Silvar spoke carefully. Your Majesty, some of the other species in the region are reaching out to humanity. They are seeking alliances. The Mirtok, the Helian Commonwealth, even the Tarkin Collective. They see the humans as potential protectors against imperial expansion. Let them, the Emperor said after a moment. We cannot fight a war on multiple fronts. The humans have demonstrated that they are not easy prey. We will adapt. We always have. Across the galaxy, on the human colony world of Jonha Prime, 4 million colonists went about their daily lives. They were completely unaware of how close they had come to destruction. Admiral Yuna Kim had decided not to inform them. There was no need to cause panic over a threat that had been stopped. Instead, she filed her report with Earth Command. Then she returned her fleet to patrol duty. The 3rd Expeditionary Fleet vanished back into stealth mode. They became invisible guardians watching over humanity's expansion into the stars. On the Dauntless, Captain Day-Wan resumed his cargo run. His ship's holds were full of agricultural equipment. The equipment was going to a colony on the frontier. Jiwoo plotted their course. Taemin checked the engine parameters. Hana prepared the first meal of their journey. Captain, Jiwoo said as they prepared to jump to hyperspace, Do you think there will be more incidents like this? More species who scan us and think we are weak? Daewon thought about the question. Probably. The galaxy is a big place. There are many species who have never lost a fight. They will see our civilian ships and make assumptions, and then they will learn the truth. If they are wise, they will learn it before it is too late. Daewon activated the hyperspace drive. That is the thing about assumptions. They work fine until they do not. The Vecran assumed that scanning our ship would tell them everything they needed to know about humanity. They were wrong. Because we are more than our technology, Taemin added. Because we are survivors, Daewon corrected. We came from a world that tried to kill us in 1,000 different ways. We fought each other for thousands of years before we finally learned to work together. We have faced extinction and survived. We split the atom. We mapped the genome. We reached the stars. And we did it all without anyone showing us the way. He looked at his crew. These were his friends. That cargo freighter the Vecran scanned represents the real humanity. Not warships and weapons, but ordinary people doing ordinary things, trying to build something better. That is what they threatened. That is why the fleet came. They picked the wrong species to mess with, Jiwoo said quietly. They picked the wrong civilians to threaten. Daewon agreed. The military will protect us because we are worth protecting. We are explorers and merchants, farmers and teachers. We are humanity at its best. And anyone who threatens that, he did not need to finish the sentence. They all knew what happened to those who threatened human civilians. The Dauntless jumped to hyperspace. It was a small civilian vessel carrying cargo and hope to the frontier. Behind it, invisible and vigilant, a dozen military ships maintained watch. They were ready to uncloak and defend at a moment's notice. The galaxy was learning a new truth. Humanity was not defined by any single ship or any single scan. They were defined by their diversity, their toughness, and their absolute refusal to accept slavery. The Vecrun Empire had scanned the human ship and sent their fleet to doom. Other species watched what happened. Some began to reach out to humanity in friendship. Others retreated into their territory, unwilling to test the newcomer's strength. A few, arrogant or foolish, began planning their own approaches to the so-called primitive humans. They would learn eventually. They always did. But for Captain Daewon and the crew of the Dauntless, those were problems for another day. Today they had cargo to deliver and a galaxy to explore, and if anyone got in their way, there was always a fleet nearby, just waiting for the signal. In the depths of space, the invisible ships of the 3rd Expeditionary Fleet continued their patrol. Their sensors swept constantly. Their weapons stayed ready. Their crews remained alert. Admiral Yuna Kim sat in her command chair on the flagship. She reviewed the reports from the encounter with the Vecrun. Everything had gone according to plan. The bait had been taken. The trap had been sprung. The message had been delivered, but she knew this would not be the last time. There would be other species, other empires, other arrogant powers who would scan a human civilian ship and think they understood what humanity was capable of. Each time, they would learn the same lesson the Vecran learned. Never judge a species by their civilians. Never assume that what you can see is all there is. Never threaten those who are protected by something far more dangerous than they appear. The stars stretched out in all directions. Humanity was still new to this vast galaxy. They were still learning about the other species that lived among the stars. But one thing was becoming very clear to all who encountered them. Humanity might travel in simple ships. They might appear primitive at first glance. They might seem like easy targets, but they were survivors, warriors, protectors of their own. And they had prepared for war long before they reached the stars. Any species that forgot that lesson would pay dearly for their mistake. 6 months passed after the incident with the Vecran Empire. During that time, news of what happened spread across the galaxy. The story was told and retold in 1,000 different ways. Each species had their own version, but the core truth remained the same. The mighty Vecran Empire had scanned a human ship, deemed it weak, and sent a massive fleet to demonstrate their power. That fleet had retreated without firing a single shot. The impact of this news was enormous. Species that had lived in fear of the Vecran for generations suddenly felt hope. If the Empire could be stopped, perhaps they could be defeated. Perhaps the age of Vecrun dominance was ending. On Earth, in the halls of the United Nations Space Command, Admiral Yuna Kim stood before a committee of civilian and military leaders. She was there to answer questions about the incident and discuss future policy toward alien species. "Admiral Kim," said the committee chairwoman, whose name was Bora, "your actions prevented a war but also revealed our military capabilities to potential enemies. Some argue that we should have maintained our secrecy longer. What is your response?" Kim stood at attention. "Madam Chairwoman, secrecy is a temporary advantage. Eventually, any hidden capability will be discovered. What matters is how and when that discovery happens. By revealing our strength in response to a direct threat against civilians, we sent a clear message. We are peaceful, but we are not weak. We will not attack first, but we will respond with overwhelming force if provoked." Another committee member, a man named Hyun, spoke up. "But now every species knows about our stealth technology, our fleet strength, our weapons. Have we not given away our advantage?" "With respect, sir, we have given away some details, but not the full picture," Kim replied. "What the Vecrun saw was impressive, but it was not everything. They did not see our latest generation of ships. They did not see our strategic weapons. They did not see our full defensive capabilities. They saw enough to make them back down, but not enough to let them plan a counter-strategy." Bora nodded thoughtfully. "And what of the other species?" "We have received diplomatic overtures from over 40 different civilizations in the past 6 months. Some seek alliances, some seek trade, some simply seek reassurance that we will not attack them. How should we respond?" "Carefully," Kim said. "We should be open to friendship and trade, but we should be cautious about military alliances. Every alliance brings obligations. If we promise to defend another species, we must be prepared to follow through. We should build relationships slowly and choose our partners wisely." The committee asked many more questions. Kim answered each one honestly and thoroughly. When the session finally ended, she felt exhausted but satisfied. The civilian government was taking the right approach: careful, measured, peaceful but prepared. Meanwhile, on the Dauntless, Captain Daewon and his crew were docked at a trading station called Haven's Rest. The station was neutral ground, where species from across the galaxy came to trade goods and information. It was a colorful, chaotic place full of strange sights and sounds. Daewon walked through the market district with Taemin. They were looking for replacement parts for their ship. As they browsed the shops, they noticed something. Aliens were staring at them. Some looked curious. Some looked afraid. Some looked respectful. "They know who we are," Taemin said quietly. "They know we are human," Daewon corrected. "That is enough." A merchant approached them. He was from a species called the Helion. He looked like a cross between a bird and a reptile. "Excuse me, humans. I could not help but notice you. My name is Kelvar. I wanted to thank you." "Thank us?" Daewon asked. "For what?" "For standing up to the Vecrun," Kelvar explained. "My people suffered under their rule for 2 generations. When we heard what happened, when we heard that someone finally said no to them and made it stick, it gave us hope. 6 weeks ago, we declared independence. The Vecrun sent ships to force us back into submission, but they hesitated. They were not sure. While they hesitated, other species also declared independence. Now the Vecrun have too many problems to deal with all of us. We are free because of what you did." Daewon felt uncomfortable with the praise. "We only defended our own people. We did not do it for anyone else." "Perhaps," Kelvar said, "but the effect is the same. You showed the galaxy that the Empire can be stopped. That is a gift beyond measure." As Kelvar walked away, Taemin turned to his captain. "He is right, you know. We changed things. Maybe not intentionally, but we did." "I know," Daewon said. "I just hope we are ready for the consequences." Those consequences were already becoming apparent. In the Vecrun Empire, the political situation was unstable. The Emperor had managed to maintain control, but barely. Many in the military wanted revenge against humanity. They argued that the Empire's honor demanded it. Others argued for caution. They had seen the human fleet and knew that a war would be costly. The compromise was an uneasy peace. The Vecrun would honor the non-aggression pact with humanity, but they would also begin a massive military buildup. They would study human technology. They would develop countermeasures. And someday when they were ready, they might try again, but that was in the future. For now, both sides watched each other warily across the border between their territories. On Jonha Prime, the colonists learned the truth about how close they had come to destruction. The government had decided that secrecy was no longer necessary. The people deserved to know. The reaction was mixed. Some were grateful to the military for protecting them. Some were angry that they had not been evacuated as a precaution. Some were simply scared that something similar might happen again. A woman named Su Jin, who taught at the colony's university, organized a memorial service. It was not for people who had died because no one had died. It was a memorial for what could have been lost. 4 million lives, homes, dreams, futures, all nearly destroyed because of a misunderstanding and arrogance. Thousands of colonists attended the service. They stood together in the main square as Su Jin spoke. "We are here today not to celebrate survival, because we never knew we were in danger," she said. "We are here to acknowledge the price of our freedom. Somewhere in space, sailors serve on invisible ships ready to fight and die to protect us. We will never meet most of them. We will never know their names. But they are there, watching, waiting, protecting. We owe them everything." The crowd was silent for a long moment. Then someone started clapping. Others joined in. Soon the entire square was filled with applause, not for themselves, but for the unseen guardians who kept them safe. In orbit above John Ha Prime, a single stealth frigate monitored the ceremony. Its captain, a young officer named Min Su, watched the crowd on his screen. He felt a sense of pride and purpose. This was why he had joined the Navy, not for glory or adventure, but to protect people like those below. Ordinary people living ordinary lives. "Sir," his sensor officer said, "we have new orders. We are being rotated back to Earth for refit and rest." "Acknowledged," Minsu replied. "Set course for home, but keep all systems active until we reach the jump point." "Expecting trouble, sir?" "No," Minsu said. "But Captain Daewon taught us an important lesson. Never assume you are safe just because you cannot see danger. The galaxy is full of surprises." The frigate turned and headed for the edge of the system. Behind it, John Ha Prime continued its daily routine. Children went to school. Adults went to work. Families gathered for meals. Life continued, peaceful and ordinary, protected by extraordinary people who chose to serve. Back on the Dauntless, Daewon and his crew prepared to leave Haven's Rest. Their holds were full of new cargo. Jiwoo had plotted a course to their next destination. Hana had stocked the kitchen with supplies. Everything was ready. As they undocked from the station, Daewon looked out at the stars. 6 months ago, he had been the bait in a trap. A civilian captain playing a dangerous game with an aggressive empire. Now he was back to being what he had always been, a simple cargo hauler, a merchant, a person just trying to make an honest living. But he knew that if the galaxy needed him again, if another empire threatened humanity, he would answer the call. He would put his ship in harm's way. He would play whatever role was necessary, because that was what humans did. They protected each other. "Ready for departure, Captain," Jiwoo announced. "Then let us depart," Daewon said. "We have a schedule to keep." The Dauntless engaged its engines and moved away from the station. It looked like just another cargo ship among thousands. Unremarkable, primitive, harmless. But anyone who made that assumption would be making the same mistake the Vecran made. They would be judging humanity by a single ship, and they would learn, just as the Vecran learned, that humanity was so much more than what could be scanned or measured or predicted. Humanity was survivors, warriors, builders, dreamers, and they were here to stay. The Dauntless jumped to hyperspace, carrying its cargo and its crew toward the next adventure. Behind it, invisible fleets maintained their vigil. Around it, a galaxy full of diverse species watched and learned and wondered what humanity would do next. The age of easy conquest was over. The age of humanity had begun, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be quite the same again.